Remember when Shark Tank felt real? When everyday people walked into that intimidating room, faced the sharks, and pitched their hearts out? Back then, you never knew what was going to happen. Some people struck life-changing deals, and others walked away empty-handed. It was raw, exciting, and unpredictable. But if you've watched the show lately, you probably felt it too. Something's off. The magic that made Shark Tank a must-watch for business lovers and dreamers alike seems to be fading. The pitches feel too polished. The sharks feel more like actors than investors. And somehow, it's become more about feel-good moments than real business. So what happened? Why does Shark Tank, a show that once inspired millions, now feel like just another overproduced reality TV show? And more importantly, who's to blame? Is it the entrepreneurs, coming in ready to perform instead of negotiate? Is it the sharks, who might care more about their personal brands than making real deals? Or is it the producers and network pulling the strings behind the scenes to turn Shark Tank into something it was never meant to be? In this deep dive, we're breaking down exactly why Shark Tank isn't what it used to be. We'll go back to what made it special, look at when and how things changed, and finally, reveal who's really responsible for what many are calling the downfall of one of the most iconic business shows of all time. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at Shark Tank the same way again. When Shark Tank first hit American TV screens in 2009, it was unlike anything else out there. This wasn't a scripted drama or a flashy game show. This was real people, with real dreams, standing in front of millionaire and billionaire investors, hoping to change their lives forever. What made those early seasons so special was the raw authenticity. You weren't watching actors or influencers. You were watching small business owners, garage inventors, and everyday people who took a risk and put everything on the line. You could see the sweat, the nerves, and the genuine passion behind every pitch. And the sharks, back then, they weren't just TV personalities. They were tough, sharp, and sometimes brutally honest investors. They picked apart weak business models, grilled entrepreneurs on their numbers, and weren't afraid to say, "I'm out," without sugarcoating it. It was real negotiation, not just entertainment. Remember when Barbara Corcoran would call out a founder for a terrible pitch? Or when Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful, would tell people their business was worthless and to take it behind the barn and shoot it? Harsh? Yes, but that's what made it exciting. You learned what makes a real business succeed or fail. And let's not forget the success stories that Shark Tank gave us. Take Scrub Daddy, a simple smiley-faced sponge that turned into a $300 million brand. Or Bombas, the sock company with a social mission, now worth over $100 million. These weren't gimmicks. These were real products that blew up after getting a deal on Shark Tank. For viewers, it wasn't just about watching deals. It was educational. You could learn about how valuations work, what investors look for, and what it takes to scale a business. Whether you were a budding entrepreneur or just curious about business, Shark Tank gave real insight into the startup world. But sadly, that gritty, real-world business vibe, the thing that made Shark Tank great, has slowly started to disappear. And in the next section, we're going to dig into how and when things started to change. So, when did Shark Tank start to feel different? If you've been watching from the beginning, you probably noticed a slow but steady shift. And if you're new to the show, you might wonder what all the fuss is about. But longtime fans know, this isn't the same show it used to be. First off, let's talk about the entrepreneurs. In earlier seasons, you saw regular folks, teachers, stay-at-home parents, young, scrappy founders. Now, everyone seems like a professional TV personality. Their pitches are overly rehearsed, filled with perfectly timed jokes, viral catchphrases, and product demonstrations that feel more like a Super Bowl ad than a desperate plea for investment. It's like they're there to get a viral clip, not a real deal. Then there's the deals themselves. Remember when the sharks would go hard on numbers, digging into profit margins, manufacturing costs, and customer acquisition? These days, It's like the business details don't matter as much. The sharks often focus more on the story, the emotional hook, than the actual product. Sure, a good story sells, but isn't this supposed to be a business show? Even the sharks have changed. Where's the tough love? Where are the brutal takedowns? Now, everyone seems nice. Way too nice. Some deals get offers just because the founder has a heartwarming backstory, not because they have a solid business. Don't get me wrong, it's great to see compassion, but when million-dollar investments are based on feelings instead of facts, that's a red flag. And we can't ignore the rise of celebrity guest sharks. Yeah, it's cool to see famous faces like Kevin Hart or Gwyneth Paltrow on the panel, but do they really add value as investors? Or are they there just for the ratings? The more celebrity guests we see, the more it feels like Hollywood, not Wall Street. Finally, there's a clear shift in tone and editing. The show now focuses on feel-good moments, people crying, hugs, and heartwarming music. In early seasons, you'd see tense negotiations, tough critiques, and real strategy discussions. Now, those raw moments are often edited out in favor of drama or inspiration. Bottom line? Shark Tank used to be about business first, TV second. Now, it feels like it's flipped, TV first, business second. And in the next section, we're diving into whether reality TV itself is to blame for this shift. And trust me, this part gets wild. Here's where things get interesting. Is Shark Tank just another victim of reality TV's dark side? Because let's be honest, reality TV has a way of ruining good things when ratings and money take over. Think about it. Shark Tank was never supposed to be a typical reality show. It wasn't about drama, gossip, or backstabbing. It was about real entrepreneurs fighting for a shot at success. But as the show got more popular, the pressure to keep those ratings high grew intense. And that's when things started changing. Producers realized that audiences love a good story, and nothing sells like emotion. So naturally, more and more entrepreneurs with sad, inspiring, or viral stories started showing up. And guess what? They usually got deals. Why? Because an emotional story gets views, shares, and clicks, and that's what keeps the show on air. This is a classic reality TV move. Look at other shows that started with real, raw content, like American Idol or Survivor. They all eventually shift focus from real talent or strategy to dramatic storylines and emotional hooks. And now, it seems Shark Tank has followed the same path. Also, with more celebrity guest sharks, the producers are tapping into another reality TV tactic: bring in big names to attract casual viewers, even if those guests don't add much to the business side of things. Sure, it brings in viewers, but at what cost to the show's credibility? So, is reality TV to blame? Partly, yes. The push for higher ratings, viral moments, and emotional stories has slowly transformed Shark Tank into something much more polished and less authentic. But don't worry, we're not done yet. Next, let's talk about the sharks themselves, because they've definitely changed too, and it might be worse than you think. Alright, let's get into it. The sharks themselves. Because if we're asking what's gone wrong with Shark Tank, we can't ignore the people sitting in those famous leather chairs. In the early seasons, the sharks were hardcore business titans, no-nonsense investors who wouldn't hesitate to destroy a weak pitch. Remember Kevin O'Leary's savage, "You're dead to me?" Or Mark Cuban drilling entrepreneurs on their numbers until they sweated bullets? That brutal honesty is what made Shark Tank legendary. But now, it feels like the sharks are playing roles, characters in a show, rather than real investors looking for the next big thing. They're cracking rehearsed jokes, engaging in playful banter, and seem more focused on being entertaining than being sharp business minds. And yes, while the humor is fun, it takes away from the serious nature of what used to be a high-stakes environment. Plus, self-promotion has become a huge part of their game. Ever notice how many times a shark will mention one of their companies? Whether it's Barbara talking about her real estate empire, Lori mentioning her QVC success, or Damon plugging FUBU. The focus has shifted to boosting their personal brands on national TV. you can't help but wonder, are they there to invest or to advertise? And then there's the guest sharks, celebrities like Kevin Hart, Emma Grede, and Gwyneth Paltrow. No shade to them, but let's be real. Are they seasoned investors ready to bet on unknown businesses, or are they there because producers want big names for ratings? Their presence can throw off the balance, turning what should be an intense negotiation into a casual chat. Some longtime fans argue that even the core sharks, Cuban, O'Leary, Griner, are less hungry, less aggressive, and more like TV personalities now. After 15-plus seasons, it's like they've become too comfortable, too safe, and less willing to take risks or call out nonsense when they see it. So yes, the sharks have changed, and not always for the better. But they're not the only ones pulling the strings. Up next, we're going to look at the producers and network, the people behind the curtain, and their role in what's happening to Shark Tank. And trust me, you'll want to hear this. Now let's pull back the curtain and talk about the real power players, the producers and the network. Because while it's easy to blame the sharks or the entrepreneurs, the biggest changes to Shark Tank may actually come from behind the scenes. Here's something a lot of casual viewers don't realize. The producers control what we see, from which businesses make it to air, to how the pitches are edited, to what moments get highlighted. And over time, it's clear they've shifted the focus from real business deals to emotional entertainment. In the earlier seasons, producers seemed to care about showcasing legitimate businesses with potential. You'd see entrepreneurs with detailed numbers, real sales, and solid business plans. Now, it feels like many of the businesses chosen are there because of their backstory, not because they're the next big thing. Why? Simple. Emotional pitches get better ratings. If an entrepreneur breaks down crying or has a heartwarming story about overcoming adversity, it makes for good TV. But let's be real, good TV doesn't always equal good business. And don't forget the editing room. What you see in a 10-minute pitch on TV may have been a 2-hour negotiation in real life, but producers cut and reshape the conversation to tell the story they want. So, if the real negotiation was messy, boring, or didn't have a satisfying ending, they can just slice it up, add dramatic music, and create a moment that never really happened. That means we're not seeing the full picture, just the polished, dramatic version. Also, ABC and Disney, the network owners, have a say in this too. Let's not forget, Shark Tank is a product, and as the show became a massive hit, the pressure to keep ratings high and appeal to wider audiences grew. So naturally, producers leaned into emotional stories and celebrity appearances, because that's what brings in viewers beyond just business geeks. So if you're wondering why Shark Tank feels different, the network and producers are a huge part of that answer. But there's more, because these changes don't just affect the show. In the next section, we'll talk about how this impacts real entrepreneurs, and even us, the viewers, and the damage might be worse than you think. Alright, so now that we've broken down how Shark Tank has changed, let's talk about who's really getting hurt by all this. And spoiler alert, it's not just the sharks. First, the entrepreneurs. Imagine spending years building your business, finally getting a shot at pitching on national TV, only to realize you're walking into a TV show, not a real investment meeting. Many founders go on Shark Tank thinking they'll get real advice, real funding, and real partners. But now, they're often used as entertainment, picked because of their backstory instead of their business. And when these entrepreneurs actually get a deal on air, many of those deals fall apart off camera. In fact, reports over the years have shown that a significant percentage of Shark Tank deals never close after the cameras stop rolling. Sometimes the sharks back out during due diligence, or the terms get renegotiated. But here's the thing. The public doesn't see that, so viewers think everything's great, while entrepreneurs are left disappointed. Speaking of viewers, we're affected too. If you're someone who used to watch Shark Tank to learn about business, how to negotiate, how to value a company, what investors look for, that value has dropped big time. Instead of learning real business lessons, we're watching a packaged drama with carefully edited aha moments. And let's not forget about the credibility of the show itself. As Shark Tank becomes more of a reality show than a serious business platform, its reputation takes a hit. Investors and entrepreneurs may stop taking it seriously, and that means fewer legitimate businesses will want to go on the show, making the problem even worse. So yeah, the shift we've been talking about, it has real consequences. But now, let's answer the question we've been building up to this whole time. Who's really to blame for all of this? And can Shark Tank ever go back to what it was? Stay tuned. So now that we've laid it all out, who's really to blame for what's happened to Shark Tank? Honestly, it's not just one person or one group. It's a mix of the sharks, the producers, the network, and even us, the audience. First, the sharks. Over time, they've gone from fierce investors to TV personalities. Sure, they've earned their fame, but now it feels like they're playing a role, more interested in being likable and growing their personal brands than actually cutting tough deals. And when they focus on self-promotion or giving money for emotional reasons, it shifts the whole tone of the show. Then the producers and the network. They're pulling the strings. They choose what businesses make it on air. They pick the most dramatic stories, and they edit pitches to create specific narratives. And with ABC and Disney running the show, there's huge pressure to make sure ratings stay sky high, even if that means sacrificing authenticity. But here's the twist. We, the audience, are part of this too. Let's be real. People love feel-good moments. Emotional backstories, happy endings, and celebrity appearances keep us watching. So as much as we complain that Shark Tank isn't what it used to be, we've also fueled that change by what we choose to watch and share. So, can Shark Tank be fixed? Maybe. If the sharks got back to being real investors, if producers focused more on genuine businesses, and if audiences demanded more authenticity, there's a chance to bring back the magic. But as long as ratings and viral moments are the priority, it may never return to its roots. Up next, the final conclusion, and why this all matters more than you think. So, there it is. The truth about why Shark Tank isn't what it used to be. A show that once inspired millions of entrepreneurs, taught us real business lessons, and showed the raw hustle of everyday people chasing their dreams has now become a polished piece of entertainment. From the sharks playing it safe, to producers chasing ratings, to us loving a good emotional story, Shark Tank has slowly drifted away from its roots. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to stay that way. If the show decides to focus again on real deals, tough negotiations, and genuine entrepreneurship, it could make a comeback. So what do you think? Should Shark Tank return to its hardcore business roots? Or has it changed forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more deep dives like this one.